Hey John, my name's Jonathan. I'm going to be your therapist today, okay? Before we get started, just a couple housekeeping things. I'm going to be taking notes over our session, but everything that I write down, everything that we discuss here is completely confidential, okay? That being said, I just want to let you know there are a few instances where I do have to break confidentiality. One of those being if I were to receive a court subpoena, I have to share the notes from our sessions with the court, okay? And also, if anything that we discuss here leads me to believe that your life or someone else's life is in imminent danger, I have to report that to the proper authorities, okay? So, with that being said, do you have any questions for me before we get started? You understand all that? Okay.
Yes.
So let's just start with why are you here today? What brought you to me?
My doctor said with some health issues that I've had that I should come in for help.
Okay. Tell me a little bit more about that. What kind of health issues do you have going on?
Headaches, lightheadedness, trouble breathing, coughing up blood in some cases.
Okay. So what caused that?
I've been sniffing glue.
Okay. For how long have you been doing that?
Since about the third grade.
Okay. How old are you now?
35.
Okay. So it's been a while. And so what I'm getting from you is that you're kind of starting to experience some negative health effects, and that's caused you to come and get some therapy. Okay. So kind of how I want this to work is, you and me just kind of talking about that and having dialogue about that. And I'm going to go through and I'm going to get a little bit of history from you, as far as medical problems that you might have that are going through that, some family history, jobs, legal troubles, things like that, okay? And then, do you see a psychiatrist regularly?
No.
Okay. So I'll likely give you some referrals if you choose to do that. It's completely up to you. That's one of the things that's probably a little bit more effective is, me working with you and the psychiatrist coming and working with you from the other side, kind of coming at it from both ends. So what medical problems, like specifically, have you experienced from snorting glue in the last 30 days?
Some issues with my nasal passages, my lungs, a bit of asthma.
Okay.
Some internal bleeding in my lungs as well.
Okay. So, walk me through what a typical week looks like for you. What are your daily habits? What do your routines look like?
I wake up with trouble breathing in the morning. I would blow my nose.
Okay.
And then I go to work at the Elmer Glue Factory. And then after that I go home and start to feel the struggles of breathing.
Okay. So how times would you say that you snort glue during the course of a day?
least once.
At least once a day? Okay. You mentioned that you're currently employed at the glue factory. Tell me a little bit more about that.
Working the assembly line and I'm the chief of cap inspection.
All right. So what are your roles as the cap inspector?
One of the balls of glue. When the balls of glue come down to me, I gotta make sure the cap's tight enough, and sometimes if it's too loose, I snort it.
Okay. So I'm going to kind of walk you through a little inventory right here about kind of some things involving your snorting glue, if that's okay with you.
Okay.
How many times would you say that you've been hospitalized, if ever, through your life for this problem?
Too many to count on a regular basis.
Okay. You told me earlier that you've kind of developed some chronic medical problems from the snorting glue. What specifically would you say came about because of that?
Asthma
Asthma.
and some internal bleeding.
Okay. Now, what medical problems have you experienced in the last 30 days from your snorting glue?
Just some major headaches, some lightheadedness, and asthma.
Okay. So, as far as your education, what does that look like for you?
Got my high school diploma, but I never really caught anything past the 3rd grade.
Okay. Do you have any technical training? You said you were the chief cap inspector at the glue factory.
Yeah. I had some technical training at screwing on caps.
How often do you work every week?
About 6 days a week.
6 days a week. Okay. How long? Your days?
About 9 hours.
9 hours. Wow, that's a lot.
Yeah, factory
That
jobs.
must be pretty stressful for you.
Yeah.
So, would you say that you're probably exposed to glue more often than you would be at your job if you weren't at that job?
No, I think I should probably get a new job
Okay.
away from the glue.
Yeah. What led you to your job, you think?
My addiction.
Yeah. Okay. How long have you been working there for?
I know at least 15 years.
Okay. So do you feel during the course of a day like you're able to make it through without snorting glue, or?
Those hours get to me and the glue keeps me going.
Do you have anybody that you live with, or what does your living situation look like?
Live with my grandma.
Okay. Does she contribute to you financially?
Not other than providing a roof over my head.
Okay. So what do you make at your job right now? any other means of income besides your regular job? Okay. So what do you do when you're not at work? What does your free time look like? What does that consist of?
I go to Office Depot.
You go to Office Depot. Okay. Do you use any other substances besides the glue? Or is it strictly the glue?
It's pretty much strictly the glue.
Okay.
I have a little bit of alcohol, but nothing noteworthy.
Okay. So when you do drink, what does that look like? How many drinks would you say you have on a regular day?
On a regular day, anywhere from 2 to 0, or 0 to 2.
Okay. Does that increase on certain occasions?
Probably increases when I just dried out from the glue and I feel I have to get some of my system to flush it.
Okay. Okay. So how much would you drink in that instance?
Probably anywhere from 2 to 8.
Okay. So how much time in a day, in a regular day, would you say revolves around substance use for you?
About 6 hours.
6 hours. Okay. Have you ever experienced detox ever? Have you ever tried to quit?
I try to quit, but it takes forever to use my system.
Okay. So tell me a little bit more about your experience with that. What caused you to try to quit before?
I was working the line at work and I saw this open vat of glue
Okay.
and I just couldn't control myself and I tried to get as much of it as I could. My supervisor came over and saw me neck deep in it, struggling to breathe, and he told me I needed to go get help.
So, what other things in your life motivate you to quit? I know you said you live with your grandma. What kind of influence does she have on you?
She's not much. She doesn't leave the couch usually.
Okay. So, tell me a little bit about your family. What does your family tree look like?
Well, I can't remember really. They all left when I was young, and I was stuck with my grandparents.
Okay.
And my grandfather passed away about 29 years ago.
Okay. Do you have any siblings? Okay. What about friend group? Do you have people that you socialize with?
I looked at the glue stickers.
Okay. Okay. That's kind of leading into my next question. What is your time with your friends look like? What kind of things do you do outside of work with your friends?
Sniffing glue.
Just sniffing glue. Okay. So do you have anybody at all that's not involved in that you think would be a positive influence in trying to quit?
Probably my supervisor at work.
Okay.
And the secretary at work that's been sweet to me.
Okay. Do you have any romantic relationships that you've been involved in?
No, I've been working up the strength to talk to the secretary at work, but not other than that.
Okay. How would you say your substance use affects your relationships with other people?
I'd say, because of the glue, it's slow for me to get around.
Okay. Now, have you ever been in any legal trouble because of your addiction before?
Once or twice at work, they caught me trying to take some glue home.
Okay. And what happened then?
My supervisor came in and helped me out and convinced the higher ups not to press charges and told them that I'd come here to receive help.
Okay. So what I've kind of been hearing from you is that whenever you're not at work, you have some friends that you spend time snorting glue with, and you've got a supervisor at work that kind of seems like he's a little bit of a positive influence and tries to help you out. Has he ever talked to you about quitting or anything like that?
Yeah, he told me I could be a much better asset to the company if I stopped.
Okay. What do you feel like would happen if you stopped?
I don't know, it's been my whole life. Maybe I wouldn't be so, I might be able to breathe. I wouldn't get so many headaches and lose my head. I don't have a clear picture.
Okay. So, I want to do an exercise with you real quick on this paper. It's called the Decisional Balance Worksheet. So what I want to do is walk you through some of the benefits of basically making a change or not making a change, the pros and cons of both, okay, is kind of an objective way, all right? So, I mean, what's the reason that you continue snorting glue? What do you say? What do you think?
To get that high, to feel, and also to escape all the hours at work and all the blisters I have from screwing all those caps.
Okay. So, for you, the glue it's not just about the high, but it's also a way to numb or get away from some of the repercussions of your job physically. Okay. Can you think about anything else?
No, I guess that's part of the reason I do it, to escape thinking.
Okay. So what are, we've said, the health would be something that's kind of deteriorating that you've noticed recently. Am I right in saying that?
Yeah.
Okay. Is that something you feel like you would maybe want to make a change in? You kind of want to be a healthier? And I mean, one thing I do want to say is that you coming to me and us having this conversation, it's about what you want to talk about. Okay, it's about what's an issue for you. If something's not an issue for you, then and you feel like you're handling it, then I'm not gonna press you about it. But if you feel like it's something that's affecting your life in a negative way, then let's talk about it. All right. So I just kind of want to say that before we move forward.
Okay.
So what else is involved with your hospital trips? Whenever you go to the hospital, what are some things about that?
Well, first they check my nasal passage
Mm-hmm.
and down my throat into my lungs to make sure there's no blockage. And if I'm coming in really lightheaded and I can't even walk straight, they sit down there and get some fluids in my system until my headaches is gone.
Okay. What do your finances look like related to that?
I'm in a lot of hospital bed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was that something you'd like to change?
Yeah.
So going through this, what would be something that that would be a con or a cost of quitting?
Probably have to rearrange my life away from the glue.
So I know you mentioned that to me before. You feel like the glue, since you've been doing it for so long, is kind of part of your identity.
Yeah.
So maybe a little bit of rediscovering outside of that. Okay. Moving over to maybe a benefit of making a change, what would be some things that that you would want to happen?
I'd like to be able to take a deep breath and really breathe, really take in some smells.
Okay. Maybe ease the financial burden a little bit.
Yes.
You know, okay. But what about the social aspect of it? For your friends, you said a lot of your friendships revolve around the glue. What would that look like if you made a change and stopped using?
I have to leave them.
Okay. So that might be under this category, under the cons, okay. So would you perhaps be willing to be in social settings, since you are wanting to make a change and not use anymore? Would you be willing to be in social situations that would be outside of the glue, perhaps?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't know if I could be in an art studio though.
You couldn't be in an art studio? Well, that's okay. So what would that look like with your grandmother or your office manager, maybe, as far as quitting using glue goes? How do you think they would react to that?
I think if I went to my office manager, if I quit the glue and I show that I've grown enough in my work, maybe on the way for promotion.
Okay.
And I can't tell much from my grandmother. I don't know if she'll ever leave the couch on account of the glue.
Okay. Is she glued to the couch? Okay. All right. Well, I think that's some good grass and a good foundation to go on. Okay. So what are some strategies you think you could use going into the week to perhaps avoid the glue, avoid sniffing some glue?
There's no way I can avoid it at work.
You can't avoid it at work? Okay.
I'm taking vacation.
Okay. So you feel like you need to take some personal time away from work?
Get away from the glue.
So what about your friends, what does that look like if you're trying to quit using?
I don't know. I don't even know half their names.
Okay.
I think I appear completely different to them and superior to them.
You think you would feel that way, or they would feel that way?
I think they would think that of me, that I have a certain airiness around me that you think I'm better than you kind of.
Okay.
Nothing better than me can.
So how does that make you feel?
Shunned a little bit.
Okay. What do we have for time? Do it.
About 5 more minutes.
So, what are some things, what are some goals that you think you could set that you could achieve this week to kind of get yourself on the way to stop using?
Maybe request a transfer in placement at work.
Okay. So there's a place at your job that you wouldn't be directly handling glue?
Yeah.
Okay. So what about your your home? Do you store glue there?
Yeah.
Okay.
I have to clear all that out.
Okay. I know it seems overwhelming right now, but what we're going to do is just take small steps and increments towards it. So I know your overall goal is to get to the point where you're not using anymore. Is that kind of what I'm hearing from you?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Because of some of the health benefits that you're experiencing, you're really wanting to make a legitimate effort to stop. Okay. So some of the things that we talked about, are you requesting some time off from work perhaps? And maybe talking to your supervisor about about a transfer into a different department. And then maybe clearing the glue out of your house right now. So those are some things you can kind of accomplish this week or within the next few days.
I have to stop my trips to Hot Springs.
Yeah, it's a good start. Home Depot too. I think those are really achievable goals, and I think you can do it. I think it's something that that's definitely doable and within your reach. That's about what I got, I think.
You can do like the like, thank you for coming to shit right now.
Oh, all right. Well, thanks for coming. I hope to see you again. Yeah. Out you go, kiddo.
And I just cut out all that part where we were talking, asking like how much time we left.